Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of Survivor Social, the Survivor podcast where we discuss Survivor with a focus on the social elements of the game. As always, my name is Tegwyth, and we have an incredible episode for you today, talking about a really, really good mergatory episode. As always, my incredible co-host Cara is here today. Cara, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. So excited to talk about the episode and talk with Kendra.
It's going to be great. And absolutely, we have an incredible guest with us, Kendra, all the way from Hawaii, Maui to be specific. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. I just got done with a hike. Hence why my hair is wet. I'm like, I gotta get all this mud off of me, get the palm fronds out of my hair. It's just like being back on the island. So I'm doing really well.
Incredible.
I'm so excited to be here.
She's a goddess, just comes out of the water and comes on to Survivor Social. I love it. I love it. I like to start off with all of our guests to talk about how you're feeling about the season so far. How do you feel about 46?
Ooh, I don't know if anyone watched it, but I did a little prediction with the ladies over at Entertainment before the season started, and with all of the fire and all of the water in this season, and literally 3 air signs, I was like, this season's gonna get messy. And I am feeling the drama building. I love it, especially the past 2 episodes. I feel like we were getting through just the different storylines that were happening, and now it feels like the pace has picked up a bit. And yeah, I am loving the drama that's happening, and I'm feeling really good about 46. I already was just seeing this cast off that, I'm like, there's going to be some big personalities coming out to play, and it was definitely shown last night with this episode.
I mean, you could feel the tension when you were watching. It was wild. It was so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Before we dig into the episode, as always, make sure to like and to subscribe to Survivor Now on YouTube and Spotify. And as a reminder, we are live right now. So if you are in the comments, make sure to comment along with us if you have any questions or you just want to say hi. We love to see it. But let's dig into the episode. Before we start about the actual episode, let's start about talking about mergatory and how we all feel about this specific, twist that's been added since the new era. Kendra, I'll start with you. How do you like the mergatory? Yay, nay, neutral?
I'm a pretty nay. I wish that we kind of went right into the individual portion of it, or maybe we I just don't like that someone sits out. I don't like that everyone doesn't eat, because I just see that as such a good time to socialize. After we won, on the mergatory, I was just thank God I get to break bread with these people, just because in my background, I'm in the restaurant industry, and I just know that when people are full and well fed, they are more likely to spill the tea. They are more likely to work with you. And so I don't know, it's just and who likes to watch people starving? It's just not fun, and I just want everyone to be able to eat together. So that's my view on the mergatory. Yeah, I wish it just kind of it's okay, we're at the mergatory is just kind of for why?
Yeah.
I don't like that so many people are immune, and it's just with luck, and luck is already such a big part of this game. To add even more elements of luck and to have to adapt, it's yeah, but there's already so much luck involved and so much chance involved. Can we just make our own luck? And so that's kind of how I feel about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I could not agree more. Cara, how do you feel about mergatory?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I don't like it. I think it's so unfair to everyone, especially the people that lose the challenge and have to be some of the few that could be voted off. I just don't think it's fair at all.
Yeah, and I think you're so right, Kendra, saying it comes down to luck, and obviously we saw it a lot in this episode. It was it really felt like a Dave versus Goliath, or it was a crazy rock draw. And the thing I talk about, I try not to compare old school to new school to new era as much, because I think that they all have really good merits. I think they all bring a lot of different things to the table. But the one thing I did love about old school Survivor that really didn't even happen even in new school, is that they let the players have these social interactions that we don't see as much, like the schoolyard pick. Why don't we do a schoolyard pick anymore? Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I feel if we are going to do mergatory, fuck the rocks. Like, let's do an old school Survivor, like schoolyard pick, because like that also shows where people are at, and I feel like it will add a little bit of depth to the social game. I was thinking about that when I was watching, and I was like, schoolyard pick, Jeff, just let the players make their own luck. So that's kind of definitely, I think, the solution there in New Era. Because like rock draws, it's just not exciting to watch in my mind.
Exactly. And I think production a lot of times will do this thing while they're trying to, and I like a lot of it, but they'll try to like manifest or kind of not manifest, but like make something happen that happened organically one time. So people love to see a fake idol play. And so what they did is they kind of dumbed down the design of the idol to make it a little bit easier to fake an idol, or even incentivize people to fake idols and like give them the things that they need to do that. Or like just all of these different things that they just kind of like make it interesting and make it happen. And I feel like, this rock draw thing happened once in a while when you were tied at tribal council and you couldn't break the tie, and oh my god, we had to go to a rock draw. That's crazy. But now we see it so much. It doesn't have that je ne sais quoi, it's not as exciting.
It doesn't hit. It doesn't hit anymore.
Exactly.
And it doesn't rock. Like being the person to sit out, like if that was me, I would have been pissed. Like to have to sit out of a challenge, like not agreed on by your team. It's like, I'm there to be in the challenges. Like I'm there to like show myself and like prove to my people that I'm in alliance with, that like we can do this together. So like I would have just been, if that was me, I would have thrown a hissy fit. Like my my whole season knows that I do not like to miss it on anything. And if that with me, I'd be like, somebody trade the rock with me. Like, even if I lost, like, I just like the idea of sitting out of the challenge, not voluntarily, is just like, I don't like it. I just don't like it. Just as a person, agree. I just would have been really pissed.
It's I think, and it's also not fun because I really think that like Tiffany would have been really interesting to watch in the challenge. And we don't love challenges here on this podcast. We don't talk about them a ton, but I totally agree. But let's also talk a little bit about what happened right after. Let's go back to the start of the episode, right? We're starting at Siga Beach. And we see Mo come back from, essentially a blindside against her and obviously Jem. And she said it really sucked to be on the wrong side of the vote, and especially to be on the wrong side of the first vote. And as we see, this ends up not being great for her because she does go home this episode. But I wanted to talk about her in this moment because she had a line that I really, really loved. She said, "I would rather be a living fool than a dead know-it-all."
Yeah.
And I really think that like spoke to me because I loved that moment. It was just like such a fun thing. But I also, as we're on a podcast, I was like, is Living Fool a really good name for a Survivor podcast? Because I feel like we've got the know-it-alls from RHAP, and then you could be the Living Fool is another podcast. So if anybody wants to start another
podcast, love that.
That's so good.
That's really good.
Ben Katzman hit me up. Shout out to Ben Katzman. His favorite tarot card is the Fool. So is mine. So maybe we have a collab in the future. The Living Fool. Who knows? Because I'm all about that. I definitely felt like I was the Living Fool a couple times. But it's like, but I'm still here, like being left out of the vote or being on the wrong side of the vote, which I was right before Mergatory, like that same position. It could have been me in that same position, but with a tribe swap. So that is what it was.
And Mo also talked about, like at least she didn't see her name. Is that something that happens like when you're out there, you might be on the wrong side of the vote, but I didn't see my name, so at least I've got some maneuverability? Or was it just her being like optimistic? What do you think, Kendra?
I think it's optimism. It's just trying to like bring that. And it's like, of course you want to be optimistic. It's like, okay, where's the good I can look for in this? It's like, I didn't see my name. Okay, there must be something there because they didn't split the vote. It wasn't on me and Jem. So there must be something to hold on to. But I think I would err to the side of caution. I played a very optimistic game in my brain. I was like, oh, it wasn't me. So maybe I could still work with these people. It's like, no. They left you out of a vote. You don't have the information. If you don't have an advantage, if you don't have information in this game, what are you supposed to do? How you're supposed to get alliances. And so it really sets you up to not be in a good position if you are not on the right side of the vote. And I just feel for her so much, but I get it. It's like you have to hold on to those like bits of hope that you have in this game, but just like don't let it take over too much, which I felt like happened to me out there. So because I was just like, okay, so to keep moving forward, so to be optimistic, maybe I could still work with them. It's like, no, you were left out, you're done. Like you need to figure out something new, especially stepping onto the merge beach the next day. It's like you have so many opportunities. So yeah.
And we saw, it was very interesting this episode because obviously we had 5 people on Nami, 5 on Siga, and 3 on Yanu going into the Mergatory. So obviously, in theory, right, Yanu was on the bottom, in theory, of the numbers. But when it's a 5-5, the 3 become incredibly powerful on that beach because the 5s want to knock each other down. And we saw 2 very different things happen for these 2 different tribes. On Nami, there were cracks. There were obvious cracks. Names were just being thrown out. And then we also saw the person who was on the bottom, Venus, jump ship. She was like, I know I'm on the bottom. I need to get out of here. Right. And yes, exactly. And so, but then on Sika, the exact opposite happened. We are tight. No one can get in. We're even going to lie and say that it was a unanimous vote. And Mo, even though she was on the bottom, said, I'm going to stick with this and I'm not going to jump ship. Now, Cara, how did you feel about these 2 different, almost like strategies, but just like different forms of gameplay that we saw? Because we saw the full spectrum, which I think we don't usually see in Survivor. You don't see that wide of a difference between these groups. So, Cara, what did you feel about that?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting how they both handled it because really neither of them are in the majority. So, like, the way that they went about it was interesting, especially for Siga, because, like, for Mo to go along with that, it kind of didn't really make sense because it just made her more vulnerable because everyone already left her out. So she would be the first one to go. It would have made more sense if she pulled a Venus and jumped ship and came together with the other side. So yeah, it was interesting to see that.
Yeah.
Kendra,
how did you feel about that? Like seeing that, like the whole like spectrum of how you can approach the Mergatory in one episode?
Oh my gosh, it really was night and day. And it's so hard when you're out there because you're like, yeah, Siga's strong. Obviously, we're going to stick together. It's in like, you can see it as like, oh, it's in all their best interest if they stick with me. But then the rock draw happens. Then people are like split in certain ways. And so you really do always have to be thinking 2 steps ahead. So it's like, yeah, sure, Siga's strong. But after that rock pull, that wasn't really available. And so it's like, okay, what maneuvers do I need to make now? And that's when I remember Mariah being like, oh, like Venus is playing kind of hard. That's who you want to link up with, like she is putting a target on her back and like, she can also potentially help you move forward because you're going to kind of hide behind somebody like Venus who's playing that aggressively. And so it was really interesting to see the spectrum of that. And I just really feel like it's just so hard when you're out there. You're either going to like blow it up like Venus did, or you're going to be like, okay, like I'm going to take the safe route or I'm going to stick with my numbers because it is a number game, but things are always shifting like we saw last night. So,
And it was also kind of interesting because I also saw this as not only like the 2 women, how they played, but also the social strategy of the people around them. Because what I think, and I feel like Ben is an incredible social player, right? I've had the pleasure to meet him a couple of times, and he is so just like, he's so bubbly and effervescent, and he's just so kind, and he just looks at you, and that's it. And I'm not saying that everyone, that's pretty much everyone on 46, I'm not going to lie, but it could be like maybe the social game around Siga versus Nami did it better, where they felt they were like, even though we voted against you, it wasn't you, and we want to stick together. And it almost could be maybe the benefit of going to tribal council. So I also think that not only is it like the 2 women's like strategy approaching, but I also think it's like how the people around them also approached having somebody who felt on the outs because, you know, and I'm not saying that like Nami did it poorly and Sika did it well, because I think that, you know, there's a strategy to keeping, you know, tight knit. We saw you know, in the Reba 4, right? We Sifu and J Maya knew they were on the outs, and it worked for the Reba 4. Well, it worked for D for sure. But you know, and I think that that's also like an interesting thing, because the interesting thing about Survivor is your game is not insular, right?
Yeah.
It's everything that's being thrown at you from producers and from Jeff, but it's also everything that's being thrown at you by your by the people that you're playing with, right? Did you feel like that, like your game when you were out there, Kendra, like you were trying to do one thing specifically, and you just like the people around you were like not letting it happen, or maybe were trying to push you in a different direction? Like like what's one example that you could think of?
Yeah, one example I could think of was trying to get Dia out. It was like she was so well insulated, and I had even thrown it out there on the J Maya episode. I was trying to rally Jake. I was trying to rally the Bello and be like, oh, this is a chance we can get D. Kelly wanted to keep her as a shield, understandable, and they like wanted to work together. They were getting really close, but like that was something I like couldn't pitch because it wasn't hitting other people's interests. And then another thing that I was on the other side of was like Kelly really wanted to get Drew out on that 6 split that we had. And I had relationships with Drew, and I really, and like he was so easy to throw up Sifu. People were so easy to throw up Sifu. That's where I really should have taken a step back and be like, okay, we need to try to keep Sifu because clearly he's on the outs. Maybe we can take him in as a number, but like clearly these people are running the game. And Kelly saw that really, really clearly. And I wish I had put down the person who had already betrayed me, you know, instead of like having that optimism and having that hope. Oh, me and Drew are still close. We can potentially work together. Like, oh, I see myself working with Drew, Emily, and Austin potentially. It's like that was already proven that wasn't going to work because they left you out of it, you know? So it's it's really hard when you're out there, but those are a couple different examples. It's like I was on the side where I wasn't listening to my alliance and didn't see the cracks the same way she did, and that opportunity to be like, clearly this person's on the out. Let's keep them. And let's get this other person who's readily giving up somebody who is a number for them. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And while we're on that note, I would love to talk about, I know this is kind of skipping a little bit ahead, but I would love to talk about Venus wanting to go for Charlie over wanting to go for Mo. Let's pull the room. How did we feel about that? Kendra, yay?
I loved it. I thought it was such a good read because, yeah, I mean, from somebody who wanted a woman to lie so strongly, and it wasn't even about that, but like that Venus was bringing that up, and it's like, why are we going for Mo? If we're going for her because she's a super fan, you need to watch out next. And I really, really loved that sentiment because Venus is looking at this game from a lot of different sides, but also from the perspective of being on the bottom. But she had no power in this game. That's what she's been talking about over and over again. It's like, oh, we're just giving up this power to these people who are running the game once again by getting Mo out. Like, what is Mo doing? Like, she's not, you know, going around being this like huge threat that Q maybe dubbed her as, or whatever. I just really liked that read, and I thought it was an important thing. Like, if that went through, clearly they're protecting him. Clearly they don't want to go for him. Let's go for the person that people don't want to go and that is being protected. So that's kind of my take on that part. I really, really loved that. I was like, get him. Even though I really like Charlie.
I know. That's the fun thing about Survivor. You can be rooting for somebody, but still be like, go vote him out. Do it. That's why it's a fun show. Cara, how did you feel about that? Were you shocked with him when she said that, or were you like, yeah, totally on board immediately?
No, I wasn't shocked, and I think that would have been a great move at that point because he does have so many like people around him where this would have been a perfect opportunity to get him out. He's gonna be a threat going forward, and it just made so much sense. She made so much sense throwing his name out there, especially him being the only guy on that tribe.
Yep.
that
Yeah,
could go.
and it was really interesting in that moment. I was very lucky. I went to the Ron Clark Academy for his viewing party last night, and so I was watching it, and we were in a theater, which is such a fun way to watch Survivor. And before this even happened, when they were at the merge feast and they were throwing out names, I think Ryan leaned over to me. My boyfriend leaned over to me and he went, why are you guys agreeing to the person that the other people are throwing out? If they're throwing out one person's name, why aren't you trying to go for Maria or Charlie when somebody
Mhm.
throws out Mo? I don't want the person that you guys want out. I want the person that you don't want out to weaken that side. And if I were Yanu, I would be like, why? I wonder why they're not throwing out Maria or Charlie. Or I wonder why
Mhm.
we're not throwing out Soda, or who else was Soda or something.
No, not Kevin. Soda or Liz.
Liz, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
why
Absolutely.
is it, you know what I mean? And I think it would have been very interesting to see. And let me just also say, props to Venus for if I were out there, I'd be like, okay, sure. It's not me. Great. I'm
Yeah.
on. I'm on
Anyone but
board.
me.
But Venus had the forethought and was like, you know what? I could be like, sure, but I'm going to try to do something else that will actually benefit my game in the long run. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for her. But,
Yeah.
I commend the gumption, basically, of just being like,
Yeah.
I'm not just going to go along with that plan.
Yeah, it was risky
I
for
think
her to
a
even
part
do
of it.
that.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
I
I
think a
agree.
Yeah.
part of it too is there's so much pressure out there that I didn't even realize because I'm a very casual fan. Like I've actually become more of a fan since I've been on the show. It's just really funny, but going on the show as a casual fan, I didn't really know like what to do. And Kelly was like, we need to be on the right side of the merge vote. This is like the most important thing. And I was like, oh, okay, like I guess I'll just do whatever. And like there's just so much pressure out there to be on the right side of the vote. So I can see that maybe that's why like Yanu is just kind of going with the flow in a way, or like not trying to like stir the pot too much or whatever. It's like I was trying to stir the pot a little bit. And it's, and then I realized I'm like, okay, I need to be on the right side of the boat. I need to be on the right side of the boat. And there's just so much pressure. So it's like hard to act in your true desires or like what all your whole body is saying to you when you're out there and you're just like, okay, all I need to do is get past this merge boat. Because when you don't have that merge buff and you didn't win, like all you want is that freaking buff, and you're just like, whatever, like one person's one person, so it's really easy to like, not take it as like not make the smarter move when you could just make the easy move, if that makes sense, because you're just like, okay, one person's already gone, I got my merge buff, now we can play. So that's
Yep.
definitely like I think comes into factor, which I wish they like there's some way that they could like show that on the show, because that's like truly a huge part of that merge, that time of the mergatory, whatever time of
Which
the
is
merge.
which is why that's what they should call it. It's horrible, like someone's time of the month, but it's the time of the merge.
Yeah, time of the merge. What?
Time of the merge.
Like,
It's as bad, if not worse. But that's one of the reasons why I don't like the merge, because I do feel like people are afraid to make a sorry, not that I don't like the merge, that I don't like mergatory. They're afraid to make a move. Whereas if this had been an
100%.
actual merge, I feel like we would have seen a completely different episode. You know what I mean? It would have been completely,
Absolutely.
obviously a lot more people would have been like not safe, but maybe Yanu would have been able to feel like they could actually take somebody out that they wanted to take out, and not, and let me just say, maybe Q actually did want to take out Mo. He seemed like he really felt like Mo was a threat because of
He was
Aubrey.
scared of her.
He was scared.
Yeah.
Of Aubrey, which I love. I respect that. Aubrey's a great player.
I love that too. I was like, let's go.
Let me just say, have you guys seen this? This is something that I think is apt for Survivor Social. Every Tuesday, CBS will post a reel/TikTok video that is a throwback video. We have seen like a couple of last 2 weeks ago, we saw, who was it, Sierra and Taj talking about the 4 alliance that in Token Sheens, and this week we saw like a Aubrey preview or whatever. Have you guys noticed that it's like a little teaser for the episode?
I love it.
Isn't that
I've
wild?
noticed that. Because I'm like, ooh, how is this going to correlate to the next episode? It's kind of like a little breadcrumb trail.
It's like what they tried to do with the teaser in the title sequence in 45, but they're doing it in a way that like actually gives you more information, not just like here's what the challenge is going to be, or you know what I mean.
Or
so I love it a lot.
I hate it.
Yeah, that was.
I was like, you're giving away the whole thing. Like you show the shot in the dark.
Giving it away.
We all know that it's gonna get played and probably hit. I'm like, you're taking away from the moment.
That one was so obvious to me. I was very still excited that it happened, but it was very obvious that it was like gonna hit. That video of me screaming, I'm shocked my neighbor did not. I videoed my reaction for that, and I'm shocked my neighbor didn't come over and was like, did you get murdered?
Are you good?
Are you good? Because it was like a very loud scream.
That was the craziest thing ever.
Was that wild to be there?
God. It was insane. It was so fucking crazy. And what was crazier after is the apology tour for Caleb. Like everyone, I was number one on that line. I was number one in the Caleb apology. I was like, before everyone else talks to Caleb, I'm going to talk to Caleb because I'm the one who threw your name out. Sorry.
The Caleb apology tour. I love that. I need that shirt.
It was hilarious.
Apology tour. It's 2023.
Maybe when he gets a second chance, that's when I'm going to make that shirt.
Absolutely. 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 Well, one thing I want to talk about also is we're finally hearing from Tim. Tim is somebody that we haven't really heard from this entire season. We've got a good number of confessionals from him this episode. He talked about how it's a tight league of 5, but Mo was still on the bottom. He kept talking. He was the one that actually threw out Mo's name at the mergatory. Yeah. How are you liking to hear from Tim and not just about going to Coconut Grove or talking to T-Man?
Yeah. It was interesting to hear from him, and like for him to have not told Maria about the 6.
Oh yeah.
I also think like if he told her about it, maybe staying the 5 strong would have worked for them, and they could have got Yanu on their side, because he kind of went about it the wrong way. You know what I mean? Like maybe that he would have had more trust from other people. I don't know. It's just weird how he didn't mention anything, and how she was like, he's not my number 1. How am I his?
That got a reaction. At RCA. She goes, he's not my number 1. He's like my number 3. And everyone goes, ooh, it got a huge reaction. But yeah, that approach was kind of weird. I did like how he talked about it. He said, I didn't want to tell her this was happening. I wanted her to feel it out. But I feel like there was a better way to have approached it, because it almost was like she was blindsided a little bit. Kendra, how did you feel about the way that Tim approached this, what do they call the +1 alliance?
So I can see from his point of view, he's like, oh, Maria is like strong, independent woman. She's a boss. He really respects her. So I could see that he's like, yeah, I just kind of wanted you to like mingle and mix and maybe see if that was like something she was like naturally into. She's like maybe naturally drawn to those people. But I do see it as like, I mean, I totally would have taken Q's kind of perception on this. It's like, oh, he's not really fully in this. He's trying to have his cake and eat it too. And like, I don't know, that puts you out on that alliance. And so, yeah, I thought it was really interesting the way he went about it. I don't think it was the best way to go about it, especially because like Ben is more your number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Or maybe we're not seeing it, but I feel like they would have really showed it. Like we're clearly being showed that Maria and Charlie are each other's number 1. So I thought it was really interesting. And I can kind of understand the logic behind Tim saying that he didn't want to throw out his number 1, and like maybe he's thinking that he could have a couple different alliances, whatever. Or maybe he's going to be like Dee and Austin, have multiple number 1s. Who knows? I'm not going to vote out my number 1. I have 2 number 1s.
I have multiple number 1s. Iconic.
But yeah, I think Maria was also very confused, and I don't think it was like the best socially savvy way to go about that for sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think
that's
you're
kind of
totally right.
my take.
I think you're totally right, and I understand there's a way here's the thing. There's a way to approach something like this without them not knowing what's going on. So, I could totally see Tim going up to Maria after, he gets back from the journey and he goes, "Hey, so this happened. We talked about it. I really wanted to work with you a little bit more, so I decided to say that you were the person that I wanted to work with. You, obviously, you don't have to do this. This is something that you can think of. I want you to make sure you meet them, all of this stuff, because I think this could be a really great partnership, and I want this to go forward
Yeah.
as a partnership. So if this is not something you're interested in, I get it, but let's wait until we get to the mergatory. You meet them, you feel it out, and we can move forward from there. Make it not like a this is going to happen and this is what I did to you and to your game. Make
Yeah.
it an even
Collaborative.
Steven. Collaborative, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Just be like,
And I think that it
hey.
could be really interesting.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead,
think
Kendra.
just kind of bringing her in a way of like, instead of like, oh, like I felt like it was kind of awkward being like, oh, what do you think about this? Like, we have this option. Like, yeah, just making it more open and collaborative, I think would have been not as shocking to Maria, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And while we're also talking
Yeah.
about Tim, a lot of this time while he was talking about this alliance, and also when they were throwing out names, he kept saying that he is exploring and observing, and he doesn't have any solid game plans, and he wants to just observe and see what's going on. And as somebody like, I feel like that stresses me out as a viewer, but if I was a player, it would stress me out even more because I don't want somebody who's willing to sit on the sidelines all of the time and observe. People who observe know too much. If you're always observing and you're not actually adding to the conversation or you're not actually saying things, you are listening too much, learning too much about me, and I'm not learning enough about you. While I think it's a solid game plan, I don't think you should verbalize it that much. Like, Cara, how did you notice that he said that a lot? And if so, do you think that's a good strategy moving forward for him to, keep observing and
Yeah, he did say that. I don't know, like, it's good to observe and be observant of what's going on around you, but I feel like you also need to be aware of, like, yourself and how it's coming off to other people on the tribe, and, like, like, is it making him look suspicious by, like, to Q for him not, like, saying something? Like, Q's now a little suspicious of Tim and, like, why is he not all in on this? No, and,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like he needs to be careful. I think he's gonna be a
Exactly.
target going forward.
Exactly, exactly. And I think, yeah, I it's a great game plan. You just can't tell people that you're observing and you're watching and
Yeah, that's not good.
you're doing all that stuff because then I'm like, why are you watching so much? What are you learning about
Mhm.
everyone that you don't want to actually add to the conversation? And I love that we have players that are willing to kind of I feel like this season, I don't know if y'all noticed this, they're talking a lot about their strategy or their game plan, or they're being a lot more open. I mean, we were talking about how it was kind of a heated episode with a lot of drama going on. Well, not a lot, but for a new era, it's a lot of drama. Um,
Mhm.
and I feel like if people are a lot more open about what they're saying or what they're gonna do or what they're gonna, all of this stuff. And I love that. Like I think it's awesome. Well, actually, while we're talking about that, let's talk about the little clash that we saw while Hunter was looking for his idol.
Oh,
Fun little
yeah.
editing moment. We got to hear it seemed like a full like the correct time, like then nothing was really it didn't even feel like it was cut of Soda and Venus. A little clash there. Kendra, did you see that? How did you feel about that?
Oh yeah, I saw that, and I'm just like, oh my god! If somebody was saying something like me so directly, I would have been shook out there because like I love that because Venus is just calling it as it is. It's like we don't need to talk strategy together. I'm just saying you can just talk to me as a freaking person, and I think Venus is starting to feel like a little dehumanized. It's like, oh, because maybe
Mhm.
you don't like the way I'm playing, you don't want to even know me as a person. Like, For like, and I thought it really, I thought it was smart to call it out because it already exists. Like if there is already tension, if there is already problem, like it's not. It's like weird, like the elephant. And like that's what it has to do with Bruce. Is that I like literally last time like Bruce. I know we don't like each other, but like we need to work together right now, and like we need to put our differences aside. We need to do this. Like I'm not gonna pretend like we're friends. I am gonna like come to you, admit that, be like, right now, like, we need to work together, and calling a spade, I think can be really, really important. And it's also great television. I loved it.
Such good TV. Such good TV.
Yeah.
Chris said, yes, it's interesting to see that. I felt for Venus the social game, but to be neglected sucks. Cara, did you feel like that too? Like you liked that moment?
Yeah, it was an interesting moment. It was a good moment. And also I feel like it's interesting how like they aren't really just like talking and like getting to know each other because they kind of haven't really been playing the game yet. They haven't gone to a tribal at that point. So like so it's like they're really just like excluding her, not talking to her. She's not like, you know, they're not really playing yet.
You don't really play Survivor until
it extra.
Oh, go ahead, Kendra.
Go to tribal.
Yep.
Oh no, you don't really play Survivor until you go to tribal, and so it makes it extra potent when you're just around camp. It's like, no, we don't need to be strategizing all the time. We can literally and like I totally understand the just feeling like shunned out from somebody is really, really hard, and like especially when you're out there and you're already running on nothing, like you are just like waiting for your moment to do something in this game, do what you came here to do, and you're just being hit with a brick wall and can't really explain it. Not even on a game level, just on a personal level. It's so hard to like eat away out there. It's really, really difficult. So it doesn't make any sense to me that like even on a personal level, they're shutting her out because you never know. Like, what if you end up on a split? She's on your side, and like the other people, like she's gonna be like, that person didn't treat me well. Goodbye. Like, it's so important to like at least play the social game. You don't have to share with them. You have to get to know them as a human being.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They're not even trying to get to know her at all.
I feel passionate.
Yeah, well, it doesn't seem like it, at least.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it.
And I think, Kendra, you're totally right. Like it's you never know. We were talking about it earlier this episode. You never. It's a game of luck these days. It's always been a game of luck, but it's even more so now. And you never know where the cards are going to fall. You never know what's going to happen, which is why like I think about Kelly when Kelly was like playing the middle with you and Katora, but also playing with Brando and the guys. Also, you're kind of, I think that she set herself up in a really interesting way where if a split happened, which it did, she had some other people that at least she's like hedging her bets a little bit. And I feel like what happens if Soda and Venus are the only two? Obviously there's no swap, but what if they're the only two? That could be voted out. Obviously they could go for each other, but it might be a better thing to work together on that. But and as Kenzie said, Yanu has that seasoning, they're the cast iron skillet. They got to, they're seasoned, they've been to tribal council. Everybody else is like this new non-stick. That was such a good analogy that I think
line.
Explains that perfectly. It explains it perfectly.
Yeah, that was great.
And it just like
Kenzie was cooking.
She was. Kenzie was cooking. Absolutely. And it's a great way to just like not vocalize and just picture what it's like to go to tribal council, because it's forged in fire. What's what's going on. And the people who haven't been, also bringing this up, it's On Fire D on the On Fire with Jeff Probst podcast. I don't know if y'all listened to it. I think this was 2 weeks ago. She was talking about the 3 tribes being 3 tribes. And she said, she was saying, I think this was D, and she was talking about how she wanted to push back on Jeff because Jeff's like, I love the 3 tribes because people can't hide. And then D was like, well, actually, I felt like I could hide pretty well because we kept winning. And I think that that's exactly it. There are people who can hide if your tribe wins. And which is one of the reasons why I don't like the three tribe format. But that's exactly it. You got to forge, you got to practice going to tribal council. It's a learned skill. So exactly. Let's talk a little bit about oh, Kenzie's gone. I bet you she's coming back.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, while we're waiting for Kenzie, Cara, let's talk a little bit about Hunter finding that idol. How
Yeah.
did you like him like trying to hide it? Hiding his idol or finding his idol?
That was also such a good scene of him, like, rushing to find it before they get to the beach and everything, and I also thought it was so like, maybe his was a little simpler because he just had to, like, dig or whatever because he was running out of time, but, like, all 3 different things that they had to do to get the idol, it was funny how, like, so different they were. Like,
Yeah,
gems compared to this, it was, like,
which one do you think
so
was the
different.
hardest? Oh my god, I did call
Gems.
her Kenzie. Chris, LOL, I'm dead. Kendra.
I didn't even notice
either. My brain is on 46. I can't get it off. Yeah, so what were we
I think
saying?
Gems was hard.
Gems was hard.
Who had the hardest
I think
one?
Tiffany's was really hard too. That
Yeah, but
deciphering.
she
Well, I'm not
figured it
good at
out so
deciphering.
quick.
She did. She did. Well, she's an artist. I feel like she sees the iconography of it all.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, okay, let's go a little bit forward and talk a little bit more about Mo and Venus. Mo and Venus don't Venus kind of really doesn't want to get Mo out, right? But Mo, before it all, says she doesn't really want to work with Venus because Venus is crafty. And I think that's a really interesting thing because I kind of feel like I would want to work with Venus because of that. I would want the craftiness on my side. I would want somebody
Definitely.
crafty and to be wiggle room and, figuring things out
Mhm.
that I can work with because I feel like she's not being deceitful, really. She tells you how she feels. So if you're
Yeah.
with her, I feel like you know that you're with her. How would you feel? Would you rather be on the side of Venus with the craftiness, or would you try to push against her?
Oh, I would 100% wanna work with her. I think that would be the best possible move that you can make to work with her because she's doing all of the work. She's trying to figure things out. She's trying to put she's also trying to save you. So why would you not, try and work with her a little bit?
Right.
And I think she would be a good ally. She would be loyal to you because she doesn't have anyone else. So
Mhm.
I think working with her would be great.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I feel like, she's smart and she knows the game
Mhm.
in a way that like it's not that she just has she might have an encyclopedic knowledge of Survivor, but I think she also knows the game on like an interesting like social level where she might not be the best on paper socially. Like I worry for her getting to the end if she's on, one of the final 3. I worry about her getting jury votes because I just don't know that like her tribe specifically would want to vote for her because I feel like they're butting heads so much.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not the best jury management, but I do think it's an interesting way to get further through the game.
Mhm.
Because I do think that she has like let me just say, great TV.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Great
I
TV.
also think I'm really enjoying seeing how she's playing. I feel like she's so different from, like, people we've seen on, like, previous seasons recently, so it's kind of fun to see her how she's playing and everything, and also I feel like if you're aligned with her, people already don't like her, so
Mhm.
she's more likely to go before you, so I feel like there's no harm in working with her.
Yeah,
She could
I
be a
agree.
shield.
It's almost like she's a shield. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have people who are the social shields. Oh my God, I cannot say that. That Charlie was talking about. You have, meat shields, the people who are really good at challenges, such as like Hunter. But now maybe you have the strategic shield, the person that is maybe
Yeah.
overtly moving and grooving. Oh wait, I think we might have Kendra. Hey, is she back?
Jungle Wi-Fi.
Jungle Wi-Fi. Happy you're back.
Okay, where are we at?
We were talking about whether I was saying how I think it's really interesting that Mo didn't really want to work with Venus because she said she was like crafty. Whereas I feel like I would actually probably want to work with somebody who's crafty and have that craftiness on my side because she's not being sneaky that much, really. Like you kind of know where you are with Venus, or at least I think so. Would you want to, work with somebody like that? Would you prefer to go gun for them?
I would love to work with somebody like Venus. If I see that somebody's crafty, want to kind of see it, come up with a good option. Yeah, Venus really could have been like, I'm not even gonna bother like trying to make something new happen. It's not me. And so yeah, that's like that on my side, especially if she is perceived that way. That's a really great shield.
Yep. Really great shield. I totally agree. And while we're talking about shields, let's jump into the challenge a little bit. Obviously, we talked about how the rock draw was the craziest rock draw of all time. I loved also that they gave their heights, where Charlie was like 5'9", 5'2", 5'7".
That was so funny.
So funny. And I love how Charlie did
that.
it at once, and then they all just were like, yep, we're gonna do this. Can I just say they did incredibly well. That move, getting everybody up that boulder, that looked like a yoga pose or something.
That was so impressive.
So impressive.
That was
feel like
my favorite challenge that I did. I love it. It was.
I think I saw you post about that.
Fun.
Did you post about how you liked the Margatory challenge?
Maybe. I think I did somewhere. Like, ask anything. I was like, this challenge was my favorite. I thought we were even. I thought my team was like super passionate. This I was like, oh no. But it is true. It's like you see the smaller people go through the. It's like our places. I noticed is they didn't stack up. We used so many sandbags. They used as little as they could to get up on there, which I thought was a really good strategy for them.
Oh, she's gone again. Oh no. Jungle Wi-Fi. Why would you do this to us? Oh
Sabotaging.
No. I feel so bad.
I know.
Jungle, because sometimes city Wi-Fi is not that good, but apparently jungle Wi-Fi might be slightly worse. I was really waiting. Obviously, they hadn't seen 45 yet, but I was really waiting for them to reference that I've never been afraid of big guys that Kelly Nalbandian said. Because that's just how I said it. And I was like, that's literally this, but worse. I thought it was bad last season. It's not, it's so much worse now.
Yeah. In the end though, I really did think that they were going to win. Like they were so close at the end that like I would not have been surprised if they won.
Yeah, no. And let's talk about that. I loved how they made everybody do the puzzle. I would have been annoyed if I was out there because I hate puzzles, but I really liked that they made everyone do the puzzle because I thought it was a really fun thing. She's back.
That was a good twist.
I'm back. McQuarrie retrograde is just Kendra.
Mercury is in retrograde, and I felt it at work today. That's for sure. But it's affecting the Wi-Fi. We were talking about how did you feel about everyone having to do the puzzle on the team, each team?
Love. And I want to see more challenges like this where everyone has to kind of complete the end part of it, because it can often be like, oh, it's the show or the most athletic person. It's like, especially the team should also win it. Shouldn't, like, I feel like that, even especially with the have to do kind of, and I feel like, I mean, I cannot believe how quickly the orange team caught up. I was so out there, almost taking it for Tiffany. That part of that, I think that was one of like my favorite like merch challenges I've watched, because like wow, or just sort of just like it's so close. Is this actually gonna happen? So I've done this puzzle. Let me get in there. Maybe he hasn't. I don't know.
Oh, I feel like this stinks. I'm sorry for all of the people watching that maybe it's our fault that Mercury is in retrograde and ruining Kendra's stream. But I will say I totally agree with her that I really liked. Oh no. But I will say I really liked that they all had to do it. And I think I saw that the orange were only about 6 or 7 puzzle pieces behind the purple. I think that they were actually not that far behind. So they were so close. Which I think is very impressive that they were like 7 pieces behind.
Yeah, they were so close. Wait, what do you think? So, say they won, the orange team,
Okay.
and the purple team lost. Who do you think would have went home?
Great question.
Do you think it would have been Kenzie? No.
I think it would have been Q.
Q.
Kendra, who do you think?
I think I could choose who is it? Q and Hunter, Kenzie. Like, what? I think probably as they can see that as going forward side. So probably with another Siga or Nami. I think Q is definitely a contender for going home in that. And then
maybe Tim.
Maybe Tim.
Maybe Tim. Maybe Mariah would see that as an opening. Yeah.
That's interesting.
I think.
I feel like it could maybe also. I mean, I feel like there's an argument for
Kevin. Maybe because side who is safe. Maybe she could have started. Kevin's a super social player.
It would have been a great time for them to try and get Hunter.
Hold on.
Right. Just seeing how good he is. I mean, I could see Hunter in that situation.
And he didn't have a vote. He couldn't play his shot in the dark.
So that is, I mean, I think that's probably the best bet. Or maybe with that. Not often, but I feel like that's a good time to go for somebody like a Hunter, especially if they're down a vote.
Right.
Maybe he could play the idol.
That would have been interesting. Oh, he has the idol, so I guess he wouldn't.
He could have played it, but
he could play the idol. I don't know. It would have been interesting if they had to go to tribal.
I think you're right. I think it would have been very interesting. It would have been obviously a very different situation, but I do think that the women would have been safe. I think Tiffany and Kenzie would have been safe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like similarly, like maybe. I mean, who knows? We don't. there's so many what ifs and how it could have worked,
Mhm.
but I really feel like, I don't know. I really felt like it could have been cute. But I think that there are arguments for a lot of other people. Like I think, Venus could have made some moves against Tevin. I think Mo could have made a move against Tim, or
Mhm.
maybe anybody else could have made a move against him. Honestly, I could see a world in which Q made a move against him because
Yeah,
Q even was like, I don't know that he's, not like telling Maria what we're trying to. So I think there's a lot of like different like roads to a couple of different people. And I feel like they don't really lead to Kenzie that much or Tiffany.
it's true.
But
It's
maybe, who
true.
knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Kenzie and Tiffany would have not let Q go home. Like they would have really,
True.
they would have really
Yeah.
put their neck out for him. And I don't see a world where like, yeah, for some reason I don't think Yanu would be going home for some reason. I think just being in that smaller number, being in that middle Giga and Nami numbers, I think it's a really, really valuable spot.
Mhm.
Caleb and
Mhm.
Ellie, people didn't want them to go because, they were able to like be used as numbers. Reba for Reba, Caleb
Mhm.
for Willow. But we don't know. So.
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of roads, but let's talk about why Mo was the one. Obviously Q was worried about the Aubrey of it all. Um, and she was on the outside of the vote in on her tribe. And were those the only reasons, or do you think that there were other reasons that
Mhm.
why people wanted Mo out? Kara, did you feel like it was one way or the other?
I feel like also because Siga was saying like, "Oh, they wanna stick together, they don't really wanna throw a name out." I feel like that made it so much easier for them to just go for her instead of anyone else.
Yeah. I almost feel
So,
like them wanting to say Siga Strong so much backfired against that
yeah.
because, when people want to stay together too much, that's usually a red flag. Kendra, did you
Mhm.
feel like Mo really, being on the bottom, but also Siga staying trying to stay as strong as possible? Do you think that maybe a combination of that's what got Mo out? Or what do you think was Mo's, not fatal flaw, but the thing that really ended her game?
Yeah, I think the same Siga maybe not looking for another like seeing the facts, like everything that she said during tribal council, being like, I wasn't using this. This
Yeah.
is time. That is information. Like I was saying, information in the game is important. If that was information that she had to lab herself, which she really should have used while talking to other, especially Yanu people.
Mhm.
I think that's who went wrong was trying to stay too Siga strong because Siga wasn't Siga blindsided you last night, and it's just kind of like it's sometimes really hard to like pick the ropes. Like, okay, here are the numbers, but also it's like you need new numbers.
Yeah.
Speed date.
Mhm.
Go hang out with these new
Yep.
people because chances are they're looking for you too. So I think that was the number one thing that into Q in that because Q has very strong said and his voice. I mean, really looks like a control leader, and so that's kind of what he says is going.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you're totally
Mhm.
right. I will say I do think that Mo bringing up the fact that they weren't actually unanimous at tribal council, I don't know what the right thing to do is because I kind of feel like maybe there's a world in which when she tells people such as like Yanu or whatever, if she tells them before tribal council, then I feel like they're gonna want to corroborate, be like, were you guys actually not unanimous? Mo said this. And then maybe that's when Siga actually goes after one of their own because they're like, "Oh, we agreed that no one was going to share this." And so I feel like sharing information like that is super super difficult because you don't want people to be mad
Yeah.
and then gun for you, but you also wanted people to like use it. And so I feel like she was almost like stuck between a rock and a hard place. With that information that she maybe should not have gone
Definitely.
along with it to begin with. But I do think that like I kind of think that it was the best case scenario for her to say it at tribal council, actually. Because I just feel like if she had done it at
Mm.
unless it was like right before they left for tribal council, I would worry that there would be a scramble that would actually hurt her. I guess it couldn't hurt her more because she ended up being voted out anyway. But I don't know. I just feel like it wouldn't actually help as much as I feel like it would have, but who knows? Who knows? Cara, how did you like that she brought that up at tribal council?
Um, I mean, I thought it was great that she was trying something to try and like keep her safe, but I really felt like when she said it, like that was the final nail in her coffin.
Mm,
Like, because she, like, why would you? That is something that you would bring up prior to build alliances, build trust. Like, no one else is telling you this, but I'm telling you what happened. So why are you not going to? Why you should trust me over the other four? You know, I don't
yeah,
know. It is a tough situation for her to be in though, because I feel like she probably felt like staying with the 5 is a better option for me because that is we're a 5, you know, but there really was nothing, like, on the outer of the Siga
mm,
tribe to, like, really insulate them to stay a 5,
yeah,
besides them just wanting to stay together. It was a good try, though,
it
her
was.
saying it at
Yeah.
tribal.
It was. Now, I do have a question for both of you. Um, Now that it's no longer an even split, now that it's not 5-5 and a 3, it's now 5-4-3. What do you think Siga's next step or next move could and should be? Do you think they're going to try to stick 4 strong? Do you think they're going to, try to figure out another way because obviously what they just did didn't work? Kendra, what do you think?
Ooh, oh man. Oh man. I feel like having Ben as part of the Siga, he's just so, I feel like he's just like really good social player. He's maybe it's down to 4, like we saw with Yanu. It's like get the people who are in the core. We can move. The next move is it's hard to find out. Drive two separate tribals is the move is, but I would assume that they would kind of like stay strong and maybe try to like pull the cracks in Nami. I think that's. I'm really interested to see what Ben and Charlie are moving forward. I think those are the people on for a while ago, and I'm really curious as to where we're going to take this next step of the game together. So yeah, curious to see
Yeah.
how that.
Cara, what about you? What do you think?
And hopefully
Obviously, it's
it's
a
better
tough
with
boot.
more off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it would be smart for them to try and get into those cracks, from Nami. But I also, like, wouldn't be surprised if they maybe, like, sacrificed Tim or something, if they had to throw out a name or something. Maybe not Tim, but, like, I feel like if they had to sacrifice someone, I feel like they would do it again, you know?
You think so?
Besides Charlie and Maria, I feel like those 2 wouldn't be thrown out. I feel like they're insulated enough. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know.
I think that this could be another situation where, if they're split up again, obviously it's 2 immunities, 2 people can win. If they're it all
Yeah.
depends. It's Kendra, it's like what you said. It's all the, what ifs, the luck of Survivor, the rock draw of it all. Like you said, so it really depends, which is crazy, and it's so frustrating as somebody who talks about Survivor so much, to have all of these what ifs that are going to be coming, which I
Mhm.
bet you is more annoying for the players than it is for the viewers. But yeah, having that unknown, because next week also, I believe one person isn't making the jury. So I think it's going to be very similar to 45, where the first person who gets voted out doesn't make the jury
Mm-hmm.
and the second person does. That's just, my
Another
my
thing I
guess.
don't like.
Like a Sifu situation, sad.
I could also feel, yeah, I hate that.
Right?
I don't
And
like
It's not
that.
fair.
here's another thing
Yeah.
also is like,
I could
oh, go ahead, Kendra.
Oh, I was gonna say I could see a world in which maybe Tim is on like rocky shores. Q is all too many sides, still trying to go with the alliance, or maybe hearing that he's young still. Because Q already has his eye on him as not being like in with the Juror 6. I don't know what that alliance is called. The +1 alliance. What's called?
+1 alliance.
I can see that raising some suspicion, or putting Tim on maybe like a rock ground moving forward.
Now, talking about the +1 alliance, do we think that this is going to go any further? Obviously, we have, Tim and Maria are that maybes, but like, do we think this Hunter and Q alliance is actually an alliance, or do you think this is a pretend thing?
I don't think it's pretend, but I just don't think it's gonna. Well, I don't know. Maybe the four of them will stick together, but I don't know. I think Tim's kind of out of it at this point. Tim and Maria.
You think?
Yeah, I think so.
I could see that. I
Yeah.
can see that. I think it's
I
really
like
difficult.
the idea of the four.
The four of
I could see the four maybe moving forward, but
Yeah.
I would you after maybe being like, okay, we kind of got to keep each other in the game because like shields, hello. But I didn't really feel like acting people that really just like you do have to have those people. You really would support it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think I like to end this segment of the episode where we've talked about a good amount of what happened in the actual episode. And I like to end it with talking to both of you. And just, is there something that you wanted to talk about in the episode that we didn't get to? Is there something that, was a moment that stuck out to you that we haven't talked about? Cara, did you have one this episode?
There was one thing where I think it was when they were on the mats for the challenge or something, and they like zoomed in on Liz, and I was like, I don't know why, I just got the vibe. I was like, is she gonna quit? Like, is she gonna leave at tribals and no one else gets voted out? I don't know why I had like that moment of this is like a weird like zoom in on her. I don't know. Did you notice that?
I didn't notice that.
I probably looked too far into it, but I was like, I don't know.
I wonder if anybody else did. Kendra, did you have anything that you wanted to make sure we talked about before we got into our questions?
I don't think so. I think we pretty much covered it. Yeah, I just really liked how chatty tribal council was. Going back and forth, I just thought it was a really good tribal council. Especially, I feel like Nami really got full tribal council experience with that one. Because woo,
yeah,
I've been shaking them up.
Absolutely,
there's a lot going on. So
absolutely,
yeah.
I think we covered pretty much everything. I will say the one thing I forgot to mention that I thought was interesting was when they were like kind of scrambling right before they left for tribal council. Hunter was talking to himself or not talking to himself. He was talking to somebody, I think it was Q, about how Nami is a mess. And I think Hunter went, Liz hates Soda. Soda hates Enos. And I thought that was a really interesting thing that kind of was like thrown not under the rug, but just like kind of mentioned very quickly, because I don't think we've ever seen Liz and Soda clash. And I went, wait, what? There's a conflict between Liz and Soda? I missed that completely. Did you guys?
That must be coming up.
Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, it was probably like a teaser for the next episode, but I did notice that and I thought that was a little interesting. Like Liz out of nowhere hating Soda.
Yeah.
And also the slow-mo shots of
like,
them all.
Oh yeah, right. Is Hunter having this? I mean, I guess the Soda being is pretty obvious, but maybe he's just taking Liz's like just down energy, like lower energy because she's so hungry. Like, she's like, I'm not gonna go look for that sleeping thing. Maybe he's taking that, and like Soda's big personality as maybe clashing, but maybe Liz is telling Hunter that she hates soda. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe because like
So
Tevin
weird.
maybe there's been more conversations because Tevin brought up getting soda out, and maybe since
True.
then Liz
Yeah.
has been vibing on that a little bit. I don't know. I thought that was really interesting too, and I'm glad you brought it up because I was like, whoa, okay. I didn't know. Nami, are they gonna self-implode?
I don't know. If they do, I think it'll be great television. Let me just say. Let me just say.
Oh,
I mean, it's been great television so
God,
far.
actually, yeah, right.
Absolutely. Well, we are going to go to a commercial. When we get back, we're going to get to some questions, talk about some fun things, and we will. Oops. We'll be right back.
Hi, Survivor Now podcast listeners. I am Katie from KT Designs, better known as Katie Tedesco Art, on both Instagram and Etsy. I have been designing and selling Survivor products for over 7 years at my Etsy shop, including replicas like hidden immunity idols and Survivor trading cards with all of the players' stats on the back. I am so grateful for Survivor Now for giving me this shout out and helping me reach even more super fans. I love listening to their podcast. So if you are looking for some really unique reality TV products for yourself or to give a super fan in your life, come check out my Etsy shop at www.etsy.com/shop/KatieTedescoArt.com.
All right, we're back. It is time to get into the social hour. We had some questions that were sent in ahead of time that we want to get into with Kendra and also Cara. So let's start off with Chris. This is a question directly for Kendra. Chris asks, who would you like to play with from 46? He thinks that you could be the 7th SIGA member.
Oh my goodness, I already kind of saw myself as a 7th SIGA member. I think me and Ben would have way too much fun out there. I like absolutely love him. He's just kind of such a character. But also, I can't stop thinking about how absolutely annoying I would have been on not singing all the songs. That would have been on enough level. I think Hunter would have probably did himself out with me being on Nami as well. But I think my honest answer, though, if I'm like just thinking about gameplay, I want to say, especially Q, I just really, really like his way, at least in the beginning, and also an athlete. Like, I love sports. I'm super, super competitive. I don't think people saw that much of me out there as that. That was like really quirky part of myself, but I think him and I would have worked really well together, actually. So yeah, Q and Tiff, like, you know, throw me wherever. If you want drama, put me on me. If you want Survivor, put me on SIGA. If you want to see the beast, put me on Yanu. Like, I think that just really hyped me up, like, a lot.
That's incredible.
So that's my answer there. Thank you for your question.
I know, it's a really good question. Cara, this was for Kendra, but I want to know, where do you see yourself? If you could put yourself in any of the tribes, which one do you think that you would go on to?
I feel like I would want to be on SIGA.
Yeah?
Yeah. I would want to be on SIGA. Yeah. I would want to be on SIGA.
Okay. I could see that. Oh, Kendra's
What about you?
I don't know. I really feel like I could go pretty much anywhere. I honestly feel like I would vibe a lot with the people on Yanu. I wouldn't love losing, but I felt like I could get along with them. So maybe Yanu. But who knows? I mean, I feel like I like them all. So we'll do another one that's not directed directly towards Kendra until she can come back. Let's go with this one from Jonathan. Jonathan asks, what's a twist that has got to go?
Mergatory.
Is that your number one? Is that you really want to see gone?
That, or is is the person like going like the two tribes, the first person going home isn't on the jury? Is that a twist? Because I don't like that either.
That's true. I don't know if that's a twist or if that's just like an aspect of the game. Maybe it could be. Yeah, that's a twist.
I don't know. I don't like it.
I don't
I
like it.
feel like there's so much like luck and like uncertainty in this game. Why can't merge just be something that is what it is? Like
Yeah.
if you make the merge, you get to go to the jury. I feel like make something fair.
Yeah,
That's what
I
I
get
feel.
that. I get that. Kendra, what is a twist that you think has got to go?
Go losing votes.
Losing votes?
Oh yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. I feel like it happens too much.
Too much.
It's like, I don't know. I feel like I like it some of the time. I think it's okay some of the time, but like all of the time, I just don't think is the best. And it happens so
No.
much. And like Hunter loses a vote and
Lose it
Jelinski.
again.
Exactly. So I don't know. I think it's a really good one, Kendra.
Yeah.
I feel like you both came up with good ones. Like, I feel like those are the ones that have got to go. Mergatory, I'm totally fine with going. I also don't love fire making. I'm not a big fire making fan. I don't think it's the best
Yeah.
television. I think it could be better. And I just wish that I could just see
I
people,
like the
you know,
way they
deep-
did it. I like the way
Go
they
ahead,
did in Survivor AU. Oh, I like the way they did it in Survivor AU for the fire making. It's like tying for that like final four, but it's final four. They go in fire making like that's the way to have fire making.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Mhm.
I'm someone who likes AU
I
some of the
also
time. Oh, I didn't hear you. Go ahead.
I was going to I also think if you go on Survivor, you should know how to fire.
Yeah.
100%.
Or they could have it, just not every single season.
Yeah.
You know, just randomly throw it back in at some points, take it out at some, like, keep them on their toes.
I agree.
That might be more interesting TV.
I agree. Okay, so next question, Trav Norton asked, and this one I don't know anything about, so Kendra, this is all you. Or unless Cara, if you know about astrology, also you could take this. Based on astrology sign, who will finally agree to work with Venus? Who is compatible?
Okay, so hi coming in. So sorry about my Wi-Fi towards the end of this. It's breaking my heart.
I love
Can you
hearing
hear
your thoughts.
my daughter?
I think it's better.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, because it's very important to me. Venus is an Aquarius, and so Aquarius needs somebody who's going to match their intellect and kind of able to go box with them. Because, like, as we saw in this last vote, she was like seeing things from a different perspective, seeing things outside the box. With the Charlie vote, it's like it doesn't have to be this like this. I really hope her and Maria, who's a Libra, I hope they line up. Or also the other Aquarius, Tiff, Venus collab, like with Aquariuses together. I am like really, really hoping for that. So I would say any of the other air signs would really, really help Venus move forward, especially as like socially savvy, a different way that Venus is. Like you can kind of see, like I think her social game is great. She's a Libra. They're known to be social butterflies. And then Tiff is also doing a really good job at their social game. So maybe she can learn a little bit from her fellow air sign. So I'm going to go with the air sign girlies on this one.
Cool. That's very cool. I honestly didn't even think of Venus and Maria working together.
Me either.
And I'm now obsessed with it. I now need that.
I know, I love that.
Like, that's incredible.
I need it.
That is like
that
the
would be
best
great.
Take. That's the best take. Absolutely love it. Now this is not a question that was sent in, but based on, you know, like astrology, what do you think is like the strongest alliance that's going to stick together, you know, a lot? Do you think that's like already been formed?
Very good question. Q is what's Q's birthday again? Why am I forgetting? He's
I can look it up.
I don't know. I would say I really like Kenzie and Tiffany together. Kenzie is a Leo. Tiff is an Aquarius. They are opposing signs, and so they bring the different parts of each other that they need. It's kind of like magnets. So astrologically, I really like that pairing. And then we have Hunter and Tevin, which a Taurus and a Pisces can use Taurus, and I think Hunter also has a Taurus moon, so I really do see Tevin how to develop that foundation. So I'm going to go with those two for strong astrological pairings in season 46. Yes.
I like that a lot. I will say the Hunter and Tevin duo was something that really caught me off guard, episode 2 or whatever it is. And I love that they are still so strong. And I love that they're still like really each other's number ones, because I feel like on paper you wouldn't guess that. And I really like, they're a really cool duo, and I like that they're still together quite a bit.
I agree.
Okay, we've got another question for from Chris. Chris asked, who would you all guess is getting a second place edit? Which I think is a very interesting question about Edgict, because we don't usually discuss like who we think is going to get second place based on the edit, because people always talk about who's going to win. So I think this is a very interesting question that was posed by Chris. Do either of you have an idea? Because I kind of think it's Venus.
Oh.
Because I feel like we're seeing...
Oh my God, please get Venus to the final 3.
Do you think she'll make it to the end?
I don't know. I feel like she reminds me of Courtney.
I wanted it so bad.
Right? Like, I feel like we're getting a lot of content from her, right? So that's the first thing. So that's like a good thing that we're getting like this content, and we're getting content from her even when they were winning, which I think is also a good sign that she's going to go further into the game. I don't think she has a social strategy. I think she's good socially in some sense, but I also think that like a lot of people on her tribe don't love her, and there are a lot of Nami left. So I think that she might have a tough time winning, but I think that she's getting like a big enough edit that I think that she could go far and really put up a fight at Final Tribal Council that I would love to see. So that's kind of who I thought.
That's a good one.
Maybe. Do either of you have an idea?
Maybe Charlie.
Ooh. Interesting.
Maybe either Marie or Charlie, maybe. I could see, yeah.
I could see that. I could totally see that. My conspiracy theory is that Maria's going to win.
Oh my God.
I could see it.
Maria winning, Venus winning. I don't know what's third, but and maybe they'll link up. Oh, please.
I really hope they align.
Oh, that would be really, amazing.
Right.
Of left field, because I feel like they're not even on the same wavelength yet, but maybe with split that they'll be able to come a little closer.
Right.
Yeah.
I would love that. Well, now we have another question about, well, this one's a little bit of a different, but it's kind of a general, what is this is from Jonathan Meyer. What's a season theme you would love to see? And I like that he kept it open. It's not like what's one that you like a new one that you want to see, but it could be new or old. Because I would love to Blood versus Water to come back. I've always loved Blood versus Water. I think it's really interesting. I think it brings some really interesting dynamics, and that's one I've always wanted to come back. But I would also love to see a Rivals season.
Ooh.
Similar kind of
Rivals season.
Wouldn't that be fun?
That
Get
would
Soda
be.
and Venus on it.
Bruce and Katora, where are you at?
Bruce and Katora, exactly. Exactly.
That would be so good.
We should cast it.
Yeah.
I would love to see, just in my astrological nerdiness, I would love to see fire and water signs versus earth and air signs.
Ooh, that'd be very
That
cool.
would be good.
That should be crazy.
It could even be like
But also,
what Kendra, it
okay.
could even be like in like a what was it, Panama, where it was like it started off with like older women, younger women, older men, younger men. Started off with 4 tribes, and then after like
Yeah.
two challenges, they then merge into 2 tribes. I think could be cool also.
That would be so good. That's a really good idea.
And then another one I would love to see is like kind of like the kooky people versus the nerdy people, like this, like the emotional players versus like the strategic players, like they're more seen in that way. So let's get a first boost.
Yeah.
You want one?
Or a pre-merge. I would love to see like a pre-merge season.
I definitely want a pre-merge
second
season.
chance.
I think that would be incredible TV, especially for some people who have gotten really far, or there's some risks out there. So
absolutely, that's a great one. Cara, did you have any seasons you wanted to see?
I was gonna say the same, like a first boot type thing, or like a pre-merge, or I feel like I don't know where I heard this or if I read it somewhere, where it was like the final 3, like the third person, the person who comes in third, or like a certain place or something comes back.
Ooh, that's
I feel
interesting.
Like could be interesting.
I think that'd be very interesting.
Mm.
I love themes. I really want themes to come back. It's like one of the big things that I want Jeff to bring back, because I just think they're so fun. And it's not that I don't mind the numbers. I think people who can't get the seasons like situated, I think that's silly, because somebody pointed out like Big Brother has never really had themes. They've always just been numbers, and Big Brother fans can separate those perfectly fine. So I think that it's silly that people argue that's why we need themes, but I still think themes are fun. They're silly and goofy, and make fun television, in my opinion.
I also think we need like an international Survivor, like Survivor and a like British Survivor or whatever, British Survivor, South African
War of the Worlds.
South, I don't know, More of the World. There's so many right now, and I think that would be like a crazy season. Oh my gosh, that'd be so fun to watch. Just kind of all stars from each era, or in like each different franchise of the world, getting shit going, because
it would be incredible.
That would be great.
Yeah,
it would be. I want that so bad. That's such a good one.
Season 50.
Season 50. Oh, wouldn't that be iconic? That'd be such a good one. We have one more question from Diary of the Discory. I need to learn how to say this because they send in a lot of questions. Is it fair that only half of the merged tribe got a feast? This is probably one of those other ones where I feel like this is the twist that I want to see gone, because not only do I not like merge free, I also don't like that not everyone gets the merge feast, because I love the merge feast is so much fun and I love it. So I don't think it's fair. Bring back the merge feast. What do you guys think?
I agree. I don't think it's fair. I don't see why they can't have the feast when they all come to the island. Why can't they do that, then do the challenge? Why do they have to separate it? I don't like it.
I don't like it. Kendra, yay or nay?
A lot more. Nay. I think it'd be a lot more interesting if everyone got to eat together before going to the like merged challenge. Already having social dynamics in play. Because like you get to the beach, it's like really overwhelming, and so if you're able to actually like sit next to people or do something, or even it'd be fun if there was even like maybe the mergatory feast, like, or mergatory feast. It's like, what if we do, what is that thing, like hot takes or hot seat or something like that, where you have to answer like think is most, like something like that, or some type of like mini challenge where it's like, I don't know what I'm saying, but there's just so better ways.
I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
6 or 7 people eat. Yeah.
I like that idea because they used to do
I've
the what was it?
seen Idol hidden in the table.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, when they get to the merch feast and they're looking all around, like, I want to see that drama again so bad.
Yes. And I also want to see just people who've never met before meet up for the first time over a glass of wine, and they're both kind of drunk because they haven't eaten any food. And like that, it's just fun. Like that is pure Survivor fun to me. But it is what it is. Jeffrey loves
And it looked like there was a lot. Kenzie was drinking a lot of wine, and so I feel like if they were all drinking it, some tea would have been spilled.
Yes. Oh God, what I wouldn't pay to be there. Well, it has come to the time of our show where we get to the very important sweet thing, Cara's sweet thing of the episode. As you guys know, Cara has a podcast. Well, Cara, why don't you tell us a little bit about what the sweet thing is if they're new here?
Okay, so I have a podcast with my cousin Kateri, and at the end of each episode, we say what our sweet thing of the week is. And we usually do like something like a food or candy or a drink or something. And this week, actually, Charlie made it really easy for me because on the podcast, we talk about Trader Joe's a lot. And he mentioned the Trader Joe's chili lime chips. And that is my sweet thing. That's such a good one. So thank you, Charlie.
I love that. I love that it's actually food, this one. I like when it's not food. It's the first time it's been like food. That's incredible.
Food.
Kendra, do you have a sweet thing of the episode?
Oh, of the episode? I was thinking about the gelato I'm going to get tomorrow.
That also counts.
I'm like, oh, I love a sweet treat. Oh gosh, sweet thing from the episode. Oh my gosh. I think Kenzie and Tiff are the only two drinking wine at that table. I wish I was there swirling my glass with them. Even though not everyone got to eat, that was my sweet thing from the video. I saw them, they're like, life is good right now because the merch feast is lit. Like, the merch feast was one of the best days of my entire life. So, like, I just love that. That's my sweet thing from the episode. I just wish they zoomed in. They were mentioning brownies. I wish they zoomed in on the food more because you got to really see. Oh, the sanctuary wasn't there. Can we just talk about this really quick? Like, they were not at the sanctuary. Jeff never mentioned the sanctuary. I forgot to bring this up. He didn't say, oh, the sanctuary where good things happen. There's no mention of the sanctuary. That's not the sanctuary. They were at a makeshift thing. So I don't know if they're like holding off on the sanctuary to make it more special. Because like, take me on a boat with some beers. I want to get drunk. Out there. It's full.
I never
but that would be my sweet treat from they weren't at the sanctuary. Crazy.
That is a sweet treat. That's a very sweet treat. That's incredible.
That's a good one.
That's a really good one. Well, it is now awards season. It is time to award, I know you are all sitting on the edge of your seats. You want to know who we're awarding the social butterfly of the episode. If you have not been listened to one of our live before, the social butterfly is the person that we think that did best socially this episode. So maybe they did really great other episodes or really poorly other episodes, but if we feel they did amazing this episode, they will be awarded social butterfly. I guess I will start, and this one is kind of hard for me because everyone is kind of like together for the first time and it's just kind of everything is going on. But I kind of really liked that. Number one, I don't know. Maybe I won't start because I feel like I'm still deciding between hot take. I know she's not great, but Venus, because I think it's kind of interesting what she was willing to do. And even though some people didn't want to work with her, I think that this might lead to maybe some people wanting to work with her. But then also, again, Ben, just because I feel like he can ease tensions. And really, like, we see it a lot, but I felt like we saw it this episode too. So I don't know. I guess I'm still in the air. Cara, do you know who's going to get your social butterfly?
Yeah, I was also a little conflicted, but I feel like we didn't see that much of him, but I think I'm going to go Charlie because even though I feel like we didn't see him doing that much talking, I think the fact that he was never even a thought to be voted out besides Venus saying it, I think that speaks to his social game. So I'm going with Charlie.
That's a good one. Kendra, who do you think your social butterfly of the episode would be?
So I was actually between those three names. I think Charlie's like, I'm going to step back, let the game play. Ben, because he's really good in social situations, he's like, I'm not saying a name. And then Venus. I'm going to go with Venus. Even though the butterfly may be a moth, or maybe it might be a really big butterfly that no one's seen before. I just really like that she had her social cards out on the table and she's like, this is what I have. And I think that hopefully someone latches on and that can be a way forward for her. So I really do feel like she played the merge really well, actually, because, you know, she's at the bottom. She's doing everything she can. She sees this as her opportunity to spread her wings. And Venus is spreading her wings, even if it was kicking up a little dust. So Social Butterfly Award goes to my girl, Venus.
Yay, I love it. I love
it.
Incredible. Incredible. Well, as always, that ends the episode. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and chatting with us tonight about Cancel Christmas episode 6. It's always such a blast. And Kendra, thank you so much for coming on the show. We love talking to you and getting your perspective on everything. Before we let you go, Kendra, where can people find you? Are you still doing your readings? Tell us all about it.
Readings are going great. I only have one spot left before I go on vacation to Japan for a couple weeks. And so readings are going great. You can find me at Happy to Be Here, just the letter B.com. And you can find me at @_ Kendra Ruthless on Instagram. I have a lot of really fun things coming up. My readings, astrology readings. I do this really fun Survivor X astrology, which we an hour and we look at your birth chart and we see how you do as a Survivor player. And especially if somebody's thinking about actually applying to the show, I found it very, very helpful to get this information. And it kind of gives you also like an audition inside scoop with me of, you know, the best way to get cast in the casting process. It's a little bit of both. So yeah, tarot readings have just been lighting up my life. So yeah, I have a small sale going on right now. So hit me up, and I thank you for your patience with my internet. And I've had a blast. I love the social, gosh, why am I forgetting what it's called? Social hour. I love it. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
We love getting to talk with you and other survivors, but it was just really so much fun to talk to you. And I love that, you know, we get you're in the jungle and it's like we're talking to somebody on Survivor right now. It's really great. Cara, before we go quickly, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at XOX_Cara or at Sweet Things Podcast. And yeah, it was so awesome to talk to you, Kendra. Thanks for joining us.
And before anyone goes, remember Stock Watch is tomorrow, Friday at 2 p.m. and Got Something For You is on Saturday at 3 p.m. As always, remember to like and subscribe to Survivor Now on YouTube and Spotify. But see you next week. Stay social, everybody. Thank you.